Good evening. Thank you. There's so much love in this room tonight and emotion as we celebrate the one and only Dr. Jerry Green, or I just learned I could call him Corporal Green as another title. So, as was mentioned, I'm Elise Buik, and I am a board member of the Pacific Council. And I have to say, I feel inadequate to do justice to this amazing man and humbled to be asked to pay tribute to him. So we're going to start off with an award for Jerry and then a dialogue with Jerry, because that's who Jerry is. Like, we want to share with him, with all of you, who he is on this special night. But before we get to that, it's just my honor to pay tribute. I've known Jerry and been on the board for over a decade. And I think the fact that Jerry sees the power and potential of so many organizations and leaders, everyone from Cedars-Sinai to the United Way, really speaks volumes about who he is. So tonight, on behalf of the board, the amazing staff team, and all of the members of the Pacific Council, we are here to recognize and celebrate your amazing 15-year tenure. I know we all agree that Jerry is an exceptional leader, a brilliant scholar, but most importantly, he is a dear friend to all of us. Yes. And that is so rare in a leader, that we all feel that closeness to him in a very authentic and real way. As was mentioned, under Jerry's leadership, he has built this Pacific Council into a very robust membership organization, membership-driven, lifting up members, all their talents and voices, that really allows us to bring together thought leaders from every sector to address global issues. He makes sure that our voices and the West Coast perspective that we bring to the world are heard. As you've seen, he tirelessly takes our members all over the world to learn from key stakeholders about the most pressing issues that we face. And I think we would all agree, never is that more important than right now in the world. And what I love is he is committed to really empowering our local citizens to become global affairs champions. So tonight, as we honor Jerry, he wanted me to make sure that we also recognize the organization that all of you represent, that he has worked so tirelessly to build. So Jerry, on behalf of the Pacific Council, it is my privilege to present you with this award in recognition of your dedication and leadership. So please join me in honoring Dr. Jerry Green.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Well, I want to thank the Academy, my travel agent. Elise, thank you so much. And there are a number of people that I really do want to acknowledge. I mean, this has been such fun for 16 years that it's hard at times to be as grave and serious as perhaps I should. But I want to start with the chairs of my series of bosses, a series of chairs. First, Secretary of State Warren Christopher, who played a uniquely important role in not only founding this organization, but getting it launched. Secretary of Commerce John Bryson. John and Chris hired me, and you always love the people that hire you. I know Louise is here somewhere. I don't know where you are, Louise, but hi to you wherever you are. So I have a special sense of indebtedness to Chris and John Bryson. Ambassador Robert Tuttle, Ambassador Mickey Cantor, my bro, Ambassador Mark Nathanson. I should tell stories about Mark and I looking for a latrine in the middle of the night in Afghanistan in the winter, but I won't. Ambassador Rockwell Schnabel, who we thanked this evening. In fact, Rock, wherever you are, thank you for all you've done. And then our current chairs, Rob Lovelace and Rich Getz. And what's important about Rob Lovelace and Rich Getz, and I say this, it's really important that they, along with Art Ochoa, convened a search committee to hire someone who was going to succeed me. And I was probably the most nervous of anybody about this because, you've got 16 years in. You want to make sure that you're handing the keys to the Ferrari to somebody who, knows how to shift and all that stuff. So I'm going to go backwards. I want to introduce Dr. Duncan Wood. Duncan Wood is our new CEO. I am just, endlessly impressed. So I really want to thank Rob and Rich and Art for kind of making me feel that these 16 years were well invested. I am confident the Pacific Council is in the best possible hands. So Duncan, welcome to LA. You are in for an enormously fun time and a really interesting job and a great group of people. I also want to acknowledge Abe Lowenthal, who was our founder, the president emeritus, who, bon vivant that he is in Hyannis at the Lowenthal compound, which I think is next door to the Kennedy compound. And so Abe couldn't be there. And then I want to acknowledge Jeff Garrett, who is the dean of the Marshall School at SC. I never see Jeff, but every time I do, I feel better. I don't know, he's really the one person who understands some of the challenges of my job in a way that really nobody else does because he did it. I also want to thank staff, and we've had a lot of staff over these. I'm going to single out 3 staff members who are particularly special to me. One is Chaka Jones. I can't see the light, so Chaka, where are you? Chaka Jones. Chaka Jones was there on the day I showed up, and Chaka is here as I leave and as an original employee of the Pacific Council. I want to thank Don Nakagawa. Where's Don? Oh, hi, sorry, did I catch you at the worst moment? Dawn and I kind of did, if you like what you see, she and I did it together. The stories I could tell you about, running to the post office. Really, working with Dawn was just a joy, and when things were really difficult, she just always kind of made me believe we could get it done. And then finally, Kristen Hodis. Kristen is our managing director. If Kristen had come to the Pacific Council, I don't know where you are either, Kristen, I really can't see, but I'm sure you're out there somewhere. We would be 10 times bigger and 10 times richer than we are now. So, and I really want to thank actually Danielle Ochoa, who introduced me to Kristen. Danielle, I owe you a pie from the 27th Street Bakery. It's going to happen, but thank you for the introduction. Next, I want to thank the board, and many of our directors are here. This is a great board. People don't quit. They love one another. They hang out. They can't get enough of one. The Democrats, the Republicans. I mean, it's really in this era, it's unique and very special. And I can't name all of the directors, past and present. Lots of them are here tonight. But we just have had a wonderful board, and our board meetings are fun. I mean, board meetings aren't supposed to be fun, but they truly are. And then I want to thank our members. We are, at the end of the day, a membership organization. We can't forget that. Our members really make us what we are. Unlike traditional, and Seth Stoddard put it very well, if we were a think tank, we think and we do. We don't have a staff of researchers, but we've got incredibly smart, talented members. So the members provide a lot of the protein in the Pacific Council, and anything we've achieved is because of you and many others who aren't here. The next is, I want to thank, is someone who kind of defines a category. I was trying to think of how to thank this person. So when you're Secretary of Defense and you go to, the Center for Strategic and International Studies, they give you like this special, the counselor, it's sort of this super person, title that only the former SecDef has. For me, at least, and I think I'm certain Kristen would agree, it's Alicia Mignana. I really want to thank Alicia, who has an allergy to coming up on stage, and I've tried, but thank you for not blocking my calls. Thank you for all that you do. Thank you for keeping us, smart, and I just can't thank you enough. I love you too. And when you mentioned visiting your parents' village, the town where they grew up in Cuba, it's funny, I have that same memory. So anyway, and if you like Alicia, you'd love her daughter, the other Alicia, who is equally as cool. Finally, I want to thank the Consular Corps. And the reason, I like hanging out with them, and they're interesting and accomplished. I'm sure I'm going to, I can't see everybody, but London, Mexico City, Helsinki, Tokyo, Seoul, all appreciate, and Beijing, I invited him, but he couldn't come, and Canberra, I invited her, she couldn't come. They understand the global potential of Los Angeles more than many of the people that live here. If these governments are going to send very senior, seasoned diplomats here, as they do, they see something here that we are trying to get us to see in ourselves. And I think it's a very important part of our mission. So thank the motherships of your company. Thank you for being here. And thank you for making our community. And then last but most importantly, Madeline Green, my dear wife. Madeline's the one that gets the calls in the middle of the night, and she said, what happened? And I said, well, I just left Tehran. And she said, well, what happened? I see Will Mestig. So Will Mestig and I got thrown out of Iran. On a subsequent trip, I got in, I almost didn't get out. So poor Madeline's the one that gets the phone calls. And so she is if there's not a St. Madeline, they should be. Living with me, I'm sure you think is incredibly fun. Trust me, it ain't. So Madeline, thank you for everything and all these wonderful years and the remaining ones. And then finally, it was there's some confusion. Is it 15 years or 16 years? 16 years and 1 week ago today, I walked into this crappy garage, which Jeff Garrett will remember, at USC, which was the headquarters of the Pacific Council on International Policy, with the rats running around and the exhaust fumes and stuff. And it's been 16 years since then. What I want to say is that part of our mission is international affairs is not a spectator sport, particularly when you live in Southern California. Even if you don't want to get on the field, you are on the field. You are on the field by nature, simply by virtue of this community, who we are, where we're located, what we do. I was telling Duncan, who knows us obviously, he's a Mexico specialist. He's closer to Mexico City than he is to Washington, D.C. I can sort of say that because it's Tehrangelous, but or Irangelous, but it's not quite the same. But we're on the field. We've got to be in the game. We really need to take this very, very seriously. And if anybody wonders why this is the case, just look what's going on in university campuses. I don't want to, spend a lot of time on this, although since I'm leaving, if I were staying, I would invite the valedictorian at USC to address the Pacific Council. I was not happy with the way this unfolded. And when the SC said, well, Jewish groups, I don't need SC to teach me how to be Jewish or to protect me. So, this is serious stuff. And every university has its own story, not simply SC. I could talk about Columbia. I could talk about the University of Chicago, where I got my degree, Michigan, where, and so forth. But the point is, you can't hide from this. You got to be in the game. We're on the field, like it or not. If we're going to be on the field, let's do this to the best of our ability. So let me thank all of you. I really want to wish Duncan good fortune and good speed. If you like me, you're going to love him. Trust me. You have no idea. You're in for a treat. Thank you all for being here tonight, and thank you all for making the Pacific Council the special organization that it is.
Okay, thank you. All right, we have him on the hot seat. Well, just to reiterate, you've had such a tremendous impact on the Pacific Council, Los Angeles, and the world, and I hope you feel in this room you're such an amazing leader, and we're all so grateful for your leadership. So.
Thank you.
Jerry did not want me to list all of his accomplishments in bio, which I think speaks volumes about him, but I'll name a few. He did receive the Rand Medal of Excellence. He received the Distinguished Civilian Award. We've heard about the Department of Defense delegations that you've led, so many, but I think the audience tonight would expect that we would have a dialogue about everything global affairs, but I'm hoping to share with them a different side of you tonight. So since the day I met you, your mantra has been global is local and local is global. So can you share with everyone here tonight what that means and what we should hold true about that mantra of yours?
Yeah, it's interesting because Duncan and I were Duncan, we never talked about, he said exactly the same thing, that the distinction between domestic and international no longer exists. No longer exists. Mexico, is legally a different entity, but we share a region with Mexico. I mean, many of our problems and our solutions and our concerns are the same. One of the things I did is the reason the United Way and Elise Buik, or the California Community Foundation, Antonio Hernandez, or the Urban League, Ambassador Michael Wasson, they're not on our board by mistake. They're intentionally on our board, largely because the allegedly domestic issues that they address are really of significant importance internationally. When Kimberly Freeman talked about our delegation to Alabama, if we're going to start lecturing other countries about democracy, it probably would be smart to understand its successes and its limitations and its history in the United States. So that's really something that's very distinct, where it makes us very different than our sibling organizations around the country and around the world.
Great. So we saw the video, which I think was a great compilation of the past 16 years. You look very young in that video. So as you reflect on tonight, what are you most proud of as you go on to the next chapter?
Well, let me give you a classical Jerry Green issue. I was with a delegation in Iraq, and we got stranded in Kuwait, and I had to pass the hat to bribe a Kuwaiti customs official to let us out. And we got out. So I liked bribing a government official. This was sort of the fun side of the Pacific Council, the sort of edgy side. Honestly, I'm giving a flippant answer because we're all here. I'm proud that you and I became friends, that we all know one another, that the Pacific Council survived 2008, which was a very difficult year. So I'm proud of all of it. I really am. But I'm also one of these people, you show up, you do a job, and that's it. I don't really need, I'm so, conceited. I don't really need a lot of adulation. I take great satisfaction in simply, the fact that we're all here and we're talking about these issues, and the Pacific Council has become a success. We used to be the best kept secret in town. That's no longer the case. And that's because of all of you.
Well said. Yes.
Are they clapping for the bribe or for the rest of it?
Bribing government officials, no. So you talked about Duncan. I know we're all excited to have Duncan at the helm. So what's your future wish for the Pacific Council?
My future or the council?
Both. Let's do both.
Well, the council, you know, our industry is changing. And the international affairs landscape, the membership organizations, think tanks, and everything in between is changing. And generally, the reason you switch a CEO is they've sort of taken the entity to where it's going to go, and then the next CEO takes it to the next level. And so I'm a member. I'm going to continue to be a member. I'm not moving. I'm not leaving Los Angeles. I'm not retiring. I don't like the R word. I'm ceasing my full-time employment at the Pacific Council, but I'm going to keep working. I have a bunch of things I'm doing. My two new bosses from Cedars-Sinai are here. I am going to be an advisor on international health to Cedars-Sinai, which is doing remarkable things in the United Arab Emirates, in Qatar, in Japan, in Mexico, and Indonesia. I said Japan. Sorry, not Japan. Maybe it is, and I've not learned. Indonesia, and a variety of other things. And this is a multi-billion-dollar organization that could use a little bit of help understanding political risk, government relations, you know, the kind of stuff I do. And now I show up. I go to Cedars events. You know, people don't think I'm a spy anymore. They think I'm a real doctor. It is so, you have no idea. So I'm going to get a white coat and a stethoscope. I'm doing that. I'm on a board of a company in Pasadena, which I really, really enjoy, Whittier Trust, and I'm going to continue with that. I'm going to UCLA, and I'm not, you know, leaving SC in protest, but I really am not, despite my snarky comment about the valedictorian, who I really feel bad for. You know, I'm going to the Berkeley Center for International Affairs, or International Relations at UCLA, which is kind of people that do what I do at UCLA, and I'm a big UCLA. I just, you know, like it as a university. When I ran the Middle East Center at the University of Arizona, UCLA was our part. So it's kind of, those are my people. So I'm doing that. I'm still a reserve deputy with the Sheriff's Department. I just took a 1-week training on dealing with people that are mentally ill, so that rather than arresting them, they can get help. You know, the largest mental health facility, and that's an oxymoron because it's not true, is the Los Angeles County custody facilities. 16,000 inmates, 40% of them are mentally ill, and they lock them up. I mean, this is, you know, it's just not right. So I had a bunch of stuff, you know. I'm getting a French tutor in Lyon to help me with my, you know, my verb conjugations. I'm not going to play golf. I'm not going to collect stamps. And, you know, I'm going to be the same guy. I'm just going to be working in a different place. So places.
Okay. So.
Oh, sorry. Thanks. Sorry.
You talked about bribery and spying, so I think the theme of tonight, like, I had to go to some sources to gather some intel on you. And I went to the main source, your lovely wife, Madeline. And she said I might have to give her a ride home tonight for her speaking with me. So I got you covered, Madeline, okay. But I wanted to share with the audience a different side of you. And so I asked her, what would be important for this audience to know about you? Do you know what she said?
No.
So it was very inspiring to me. So she spoke about your curiosity of people and cultures. She talked about the fact that you will sit on benches all over the world and watch and talk to people, and that you'll go into stores, even in North Korea. And she spoke about how the two of you rescued 10 Cubans on a Caribbean island and checked them into your hotel and fed them. So tell me where this comes from, this curiosity and deep compassion.
I'm going to give you a very specific, it's funny, Mark Nathanson once came to a class I taught at the Marshall School, and he was a guest lecturer. And the students asked Mark, this is before he was ambassador, Mr. Nathanson, why are you so interested in all this international stuff? And he said, when I was a little boy, I used to read National Geographic. And I looked at Mark, I said, really, you too? And it really started in my childhood. I used to read National Geographic. My grandparents were huge world travelers. And I probably should have been an anthropologist. I'm just very interested in other cultures. It's just really, really interesting to me. And I mean everything. You know, we had a dinner here. I'll never forget. Rob, I know you were there. I can't remember what the occasion was, but it was somebody from Guadalajara, and we were talking about soccer and the Chivas, and the servers that worked here sort of gathered around the table, and they started talking about soccer. You remember this? Talking about soccer. That was a Jerry Green moment. I could not have been happier. I loved it. As did Rob, actually. So it's, you know, this is a people, you know, this is a business. It's a people business. Our friends from the diplomatic corps do it all the time. The limitation, I always say, is I could never be a diplomat because in the realm of being nice, I'm a sprinter, not a marathoner. I couldn't do it for a sustained period of time. I mean, Nina, I'll never forget, we sent a delegation to visit Nina and with all of the ASEAN ambassadors, and they were telling me that Nina had to participate in karaoke, and she bought a karaoke, and I was thinking, God, you know, even I, you know, God love her, I was so impressed by that. But, you know, people are interesting, and this is a people organization. And if you're interested in different cultures, what better place to live than Los Angeles? I mean, you just walk down the street, and it's just such a fascinating place. So.
Well, I love your zest and curiosity. I think it only grows every year that
I'm sorry.
know you.
I'm sorry.
So, as we close out here, I know that the light of your life is Madeline, your 2 daughters, your son, 4 grandsons, and I heard they were particularly impressed with your credits on the Call of Duty game. So, as we close out this evening and our time together, what struck me when Madeline and I were going back and forth was her description of you. So I'm going to read it to make sure I get it right. So she said, Jerry is an extremely caring person and a man of principles who believes one must do what is right. So Jerry Green, thank you for your decades of service, your transformational leadership, and for embodying and setting the example that we should all do what is right.
Well, thank you so much. And thank you all.